How about that timing? Hey, wasn't that fantastic? All right, fair enough. Fair enough. It took me weeks. Thought you'd be impressed. It's week 8 and I nailed it. Did I? Did I? God, you're hard to please, you people. Lovely to see you. Oh, better check. Can you hear me? Now, can I hear you? Don't just nod, Rachel. Yes, you can, because we're saying nothing. You can hear our silence. Karen, thank you. I knew I could rely on you. Thank you, Karen. So I could hear you. You could hear me. So what's the worst thing that could happen? Hey? Right. Let me begin. So we've got a nice group of us coming together. Week 8. How exciting is that? Yeah, I can see a little bit of excitement. China's, oh, that's the cat. There's excitement in Bundaberg. I tell you, that place is just about to kick off. You can see that. Seriously, I can tell. Okay, so week 8. And this week we've got gender, sexuality, and race. And we're introducing our second guest psychologist. Very exciting. He's not here. Thank God. Jordan Peterson. So Jordan Peterson is our second guest psychologist. So we've got 2 videos that are, oh, put my little ticker up. Took ages doing this, so I might as well put it up. So week 8, critical social psychology, gender, sexuality. I'll just say that, basically what I've just said. So we've got a couple of videos up. Apologies again, these didn't go up as soon as I'd hoped. So the episodes 19 and 20, these are taking forever to redo. So 19 and 20 went up, I think, on Friday. I think they went up on Friday. Episode 21 didn't go up till Sunday early evening, which is the point where you just go, that's dedication, Paul. That's dedication. I know you're thinking that's late, but also it's late and shows commitment and dedication. I think you'll agree. Something interesting happened when 19 and 20 went up. On the YouTube channel. I'll get to that in just a second. So the thing I have to say, so it's just for us in the room and also for people who are watching the video. So I'm recording, but I'm only recording my feed. So your feeds aren't getting recorded. When you speak in this main room, your voice gets recorded. When we're in the breakout rooms, nothing there gets recorded. So it's just me on camera and then you speaking when you're in this main room. But people are watching. People might watch. Let's say people might watch the video of our session. So just want to make a few things clear. The first one is we're not here to criticize Jordan Peterson. Rather, we're here critically reflecting on the views that he expresses. And in particular, the sort of audience that he speaks to and speaks for. So that's our main focus. Now, Jordan's here because he has got a very high profile on social media. So he's an important vehicle for those views and those ideas. And really, it's to help you engage with that critical thinking skill where you're asked to think about who says what about whom and for whose benefit. So that's kind of what this is all about. So it's not really focusing on the individual because that would be very individualistic and we're not for that. But it's about who speaks about whom, what do they say about them and for whose benefit. And religion, if we didn't make it sensitive enough for some people, we're bringing religion in this week because I don't know if you've noticed, but religion's got a few things to say about sex, sexuality, gender, and it's had a few things to say about race. It doesn't say it quite so often these days, but it has done in the past. So religion comes in to those 2 videos a little. And And it's also a thing to say about this week. This is the last week where I'm asking you to keep that diary record. So I'm not checking if anyone's been keeping them. You might. Week 10, you're probably writing out whatever, however you're managing your diary entries, whether you're doing it retrospectively, because retro's cool. That's fine. But this is the last week where you're expected to keep a record of things that happen. And just to flag, in week nine, that's next week, isn't it? Next week, not to panic you, but we have a session for our tutorial is dedicated to that assessment too, the reflexive log. Basically, where you get the opportunity to talk to each other about what's going in the log, things that you think you understand, things you don't understand. And that, I think, would give you enough room to start working on it, and you hand in on the Friday of week 10. So it gives you kind of like 2 working weeks, around about just shy of 2 working weeks from that discussion to figure out what it is you know, what it is you don't know, and you've got a couple of weeks to figure that out, post questions on the Q&A and all the rest of it. Does that sound a good plan? Rachel's kind of gone, yes, it does. Oh, that's enthusiastic. That's good. Don't go over the top, Rachel. You know, there's the DSM just right around the corner to classify your behavior as potentially a little abnormal. So careful, be careful. Stay within the bounds of normality. Okay, so that's what we're doing for this week. If you are a fan of Jordan Peterson, please engage with the ideas rather than be compelled in this session to defend the man. Okay, so where Jordan Peterson's ideas sit in critical psychology is in a very uncomfortable place. Everyone critiques these ideas. There's no comfortable place for Jordan Peterson's ideas in critical psychology. So that's why there isn't really room to defend the ideas or to defend the man, because I want you to fit in that space of critical psychology. But Jordan doesn't also fit. He sort of fits in mainstream psychology and doesn't. So critical psychology is all about critiquing mainstream psychology. Like there's no defending mainstream psychology in this unit. So in assessment 2 and assessment 3, remember that. You're here to critique psychology, mainstream psychology. So if you start to get in that position where you're going, oh, you know, on the whole, mainstream psychology's got some benefits to it. You know, it's a good superannuation scheme and all the rest of it. You know, it's all right. You don't want to be arguing like that. You don't want to come out saying, oh, you know, pros and cons to everything, isn't there? But on the whole, mainstream psychology is pretty cool, I think. If you come out with a conclusion like that in an assessment, then basically you've sat outside of critical social psychology. Jordan Peterson sort of sits in mainstream psychology. He's not very popular there. He's, I think, at the moment, the Canadian Ottawa College of Psychologists are telling him he's got to go on some professional retraining because he keeps saying things that are problematic as far as they're concerned. So he's not well received in mainstream psychology, but his ideas are grounded in mainstream psychology. So basically, you know, when he talks about IQ is seen as a thing in mainstream psychology. You know, in critical psychology, we don't think it's a thing at all. It's a bit of a joke. What? IQ? Can you give me some IQ? No, it's a thing. We've made it up. We've invented it. So he thinks IQ is a thing. We don't. And he also thinks, as does mainstream psychology, that biology plays a major part in determining human behavior and human experience. And in critical psychology, we don't think that at all. So he does resonate with mainstream psychology. So he's not out on a limb, but he is seen as quite controversial if you're anything other than sort of on the extreme right of the political spectrum. And fair due, if you want to sit there, it's fine. You know, Trump needs friends. But just on this unit, yeah, don't come join us on the other side. If you have any complaints about how Jordan... I am saying this for the purpose of the tape. This sounds like I'm in court. For the purpose of the tape, I am saying this. That if you have got problems with me criticizing Jordan's work, tell me directly and we'll talk it through, okay? Don't go around an indirect way of doing it because it doesn't get us anywhere. And if you've seen it, you don't have to go to the YouTube. If you go to my YouTube channel and see the videos there, you get adverts. I don't make any money out of them. YouTube does. if you go to those videos and look at the comments box, you'll see there's a lot of comments. Like my videos usually get about 2 views in a couple of years. You know, got a very, you know, it's elite audience. You know, very elite, very niche. Try to keep it that way by producing bad videos. And the Jordan Peterson videos, I think the first video got about 700 or 800 views in a couple of days, and the second one got about 500 or 600 in a couple of days. And some of those people basically made their views known in the comments box. So I misrepresented Jordan. I'm a liar. I'm also a bit stupid. And basically, I didn't see the nasty ones because YouTube takes the nasty ones, doesn't let us see the nasty ones. So there's a lot of comments. And in YouTube, my audience generally is about 95% women. I know. Being eye candy is a curse. Most people just, you know, what can I do? What can I do? You know, my sexuality exudes through the internet, and for some reason, anyway. So I get a lot of women watching doesn't get, just got a lot of women watching my, it's because mostly women do psychology. But that aside, I think you all know what that's about, apart from the fact that most psychology students are women. It's about 90% women. The day after I posted, I got 25% of my audience are women, 75% men. So suddenly this big group of men came charging into YouTube to defend him, defend Jordan. That's common. That happens all the time. Whenever you're critical about Jordan, you get criticism. On this unit, if you have a criticism of me being critical of Jordan, come directly to me if you can. I'll be nice to you, and what I don't want to do is cause anyone distress, because I know Jordan is very important to some people, but I don't want you to feel distressed. If you're feeling distressed, come talk to me, and I'll make sure you don't feel distressed about any of that. Okay. After that big prelude, are we good? We're good. We're good. Rachel's gone. Whatever. Okay, I think we're good. Right, let's get on to the agenda. So, our agenda for today is rules. You know the rules. So. This is too small to see, but I will post it up in chat. Oh, sorry. Look at chat, for God's sake, Paul. Okay. Anush, I should have looked at this. 4:05, like 7 minutes ago. Anush said, yes, thanks. I've lost the context of that. But it was good that you were thanking me for something that I said. But thank you, Anush. I'm so sorry I didn't see your approval. I was so desperate for people's approval on this unit. I really do. I really want your approval. And I got it, and I missed it. China, I might drop out at some point. The place I'm right now is unstable internet, and everything is very laggy. Don't worry, it's China. We've got you. Okay. So the agenda is coming. They're the rules. You know the rules. Here's the agenda. So I've got 6 questions. You don't have to deal with all of these questions. We've kind of got, I think, probably 1, 2. We could have 2 small groups. 1 large group, in which case we could just stay in this room. Have a think about that. I'll just talk you through the agenda. So there's 6 questions. You don't have to address all of them. And if you go on to our Moodle site, you'll see the questions there, but also broader key questions that I kind of want us to get out of this session. So I'll read them out for you. What norms and roles do we perceive to be feminine and masculine? What are the social and cultural factors that have contributed to these perceptions? Who benefits from the pervasiveness of these perceptions? So if you go into that one, if you struggle with any of the questions, the specific questions, the 6 specific questions, because they're all really about Peterson, and people in your group may not have seen the videos on Jordan, or you might not be that familiar, or you just don't want to talk badly about him, in which case you can just go to those 3 questions instead. Does that make sense? Okay, I know what's happening here. So stillness is approval. nodding is just something weird happening. So still, if I read stillness in people's faces. Oh, Kari said, get on. You figure, is your body language, Kari, going, Jesus Christ, Paul, get on with it. Right. Sorry about saying Jesus Christ, but religion is coming in various forms today. Okay, so two small groups, one large group. So there are, someone's just going to shout out the numbers to me because I can't bear this. There's 12 altogether. There's Rockhampton. Anyone? Rockhampton. Anyone there? Are you hiding? Rockhampton's empty. Bundaberg. This happens at conferences. You can tell I'm speaking because the room's empty. Bundaberg. Anyone there in Bundaberg? No. And Townsville. Anyone in Townsville? No. Okay. So that means there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of us. 2 groups of 4. I'm not asking if you want 2 groups of 4. I'm just checking. Is my maths right? Is that 2 groups of 4? You think I'm kidding? Okay. Is everyone okay? Are you all good? Is there something? Has something happened? Was there something on Current Affair last night or something that I've missed? Was I on Current Affair? We all good? No, I wasn't. Phew, thank God. Not this week. I don't know when they're going to air it. They said they'd warn me. Okay, so calming music. You think this is for you? It's not. Right, here we go. Remember the room you're in? Because I know what it is. You've got assessments. You've got loads of assessments. And here you go. Yeah, you got. Is everyone else? Are you traumatized by it? Do you want me to do some psychology for you? Do a bit of CBT on you? Cheryl saying yes, please. Okay. I'll do the modern age centered. This is they call centered CBT. Right? With the assessment coming up. Just get on with it, all right? Stop messing about. Get on with it. And if you get it in late, you're going to get late penalties, all right? And if you get a bad grade, then I'm sorry, your career, it's over. It's over and you're out. Did that help? Was that good? No?
I have a question.
Very enlightening.
It was enlightening. So, Natalie, did you speak? You about to say?
Yeah, I have a question about the word count. For the weeks that we're submitting but not asking to be marked, even though the word count is roughly right, do we need to be critically worried about the word count, like 125 words and 275 on the weeks that aren't submitted? For example, if it's 129 words, should I be wasting my time trying to cut 4 words out of it?
For the ones that we don't assess?
Yes.
No, you can, because we can't do anything, can we? Because we can't turn around and go, I didn't read those extra words on that bit that I'm not assessing. You go, who cares? I know what's happening here. You're gonna deluge it. You've got a 10,000 word thesis waiting, haven't you? On one of these, you're just gonna dump all those words you couldn't. Yep, you can do that. You could do that. You can write as much as you like, and there's nothing I can do about it.
When we put our word count on our cover page, do we just put our word count for the 2 that are being assessed?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. And the word counting is included in the word count.
Another question on the
I was joking. Sorry, I just wanted to see if anyone would freak out. So go on, Rach.
on the assignment, information on that page, it does say that a reference list needs to be included, but in the forums we've been discussing that references aren't necessarily being used in this assignment.
Ooh, we've got a contradiction. So on the assessment page, does it say that?
I think so. It's either there or on the briefing document. It's where it has like APA formatting, Arial font, and then it says reference list must be included.
Okay. Let's have a look, because that shouldn't be there. I can give you the quick answer is, that we won't be expecting any references.
I was also confused about the wording where it says to include the ones not to be marked as appendices.
Yep. It doesn't matter to it. Like we're going to have a whole week on it next week, but I'm happy to. Okay. Yeah, but I'm happy to.
Jumping the gun.
You're jumping the gun a little bit. It's okay, but I'll answer. Yeah, I'll answer. Like, don't worry too much. Basically, the thing with the word count. Yeah, you can put the word count on the front. That's great. With the references, no references. We're not looking for anything. If you do cite something for some reason in your journal entry, then you'd need to provide a reference, but we're not looking for references. You're not going to get extra mark for putting citations and references in. So you can just say something like, for this week, we looked at the work of Jordan Peterson. You don't have to reference that, because I know what you're talking about. If there's a particular book that you read that you found fascinating and you put a citation in, then you've got to give the reference, but the reference won't be included in the word count. And the appendices thing, the main thing, I mean, you can do it however you want. You just have to make sure that we know which one to mark. So it just has to be really clear, diary entry number 1 and 2 to be assessed, others not to be assessed. And the easiest way is just to label appendices and main body. But you do it however you like, as long as we know which ones to assess. Otherwise, we'll just assess the first 2 that we see.
Also, in saying that, if we haven't written anything for like one of the weeks, do we just write a few words in there, include it, label it like week 8, for example, and then just put it in the appendices?
Yeah, you could do that, and that would get you. I mean, strictly speaking, there has to be something in there, and that's where you can have fun. But keep it safe.
Yeah.
But you can write, knowing that whatever you write under week 8, if you just put "got nothing for you," I mean, that's fine. That make me laugh. You could, yeah.
I thought you wanted a cookie recipe.
Cookie recipe, actually. Put a cookie recipe. If it's a good one, it wouldn't officially count towards your grade, but it, might help.
Hi, Carl.
Yep, sorry. Go on, Anish.
Sorry, can I ask you a question? Sorry to interrupt. I just have a question. In the critical part, I just wanted to know how much our critiques need to be aligned with what we read in the textbook, and how much is based on our understanding from out in the world and like our understanding from textbook in total.
Is this for assessment 2?
Yes.
Yeah, the textbook, you can draw. You don't have to draw on the textbook. So it's when you're thinking about like what to write about from the week, it's basically what you think. Sorry, go on, Anush.
No. I mean, the first part is like a summary of the learning, but second part is like a critical. I mean, in terms of writing the critical.
I gotcha. Yeah. So that second part, the critical bit, it's coming from you. It's kind of it can be based on your experiences and so on, but it's you engaging in that critical thinking. So yeah, it's all you. So it's not, so-and-so in 2019 said that, disability should be seen in this way. We're not looking for that. We're really looking for you to go, this disability topic, wow, it really has these sorts of implications and it challenges these ideas and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, it's all about your ideas. Definitely.
And does that mean that there is no right and wrong, because everyone has got different kind of thinking, as long as it is critic, not, as you said, it's not to like backing up or support the ideas.
Sort of, but there's no sort of right and wrong in terms of the argument. Like there's bad arguments and good arguments. If you said like Jordan Peterson's views on sexuality are outdated, look at the suits he wears. That's proof. That's probably a weak argument, you know? So the strength of the argument would be important, but the right and wrongness really comes in terms of that. Is this a sort of critical view? Is this something that is critical of mainstream psychology and sits in that area of critical social psychology? So have you engaged in a kind of critical analysis of those materials?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about assessment too, aren't we? We're not going to talk about Jordan. We're going to talk about assessment too. Do you want to talk about Jordan? Rachel, you're champing on it. Okay, go for your question.
I don't want to jump the gun again, but I'm totally going to. Do you know approximately when we'll get the topics for assessment 3?
Assessment 3. Oh, I thought they were there.
I think it is listed in the last paragraph.
Oh, I tucked it away.
Yeah, I think it said that they're going to give us a few, but yeah.
Okay, all right.
Just want to start planning.
Yeah, good idea. Assessment 3. Hold on. Right, it's disability and First Nations. So I've not made it awfully clear. So in the briefing document, under the title, you've got disability, stroke, indigeneity. Indigeneity is better to say First Nations, but if you say indigeneity in your essay, you'll be fine. So disability, First Nations. That's the choice, one of those topics. That makes sense? Okay. And First Nations is we're doing that week 10, but all the videos, there's 5 videos, the main videos, they're all up there already.
Thank you.
No worries. So, are we ready to go into... Is this delaying tactics? You just can't face going into a room and having to talk about this stuff? Or is it the stress of assessment? Remember last week about the moralization of technology? Can you see it happening? About the questions you have in relation to what would be a good essay? Okay. Like how many words compared to how many bullets should I put in the gun? Okay. All right. Now I've got you. I've won you over with that one. Let me do this. So we'll spend... Can we spend 25? Let's go for 20 minutes. See how you're getting on. And then, because we're a fairly small group, we'll come back in the big group. How does that sound? Does that sound okay? God, you are stressed, aren't you? You are really stressed. Okay. All right, let's be gentle with each other. Just see how you get on. If you want to talk about assessment 2 and assessment 3 in your group, you just go for it. You just take the power back. We're talking about power next week, which is about how people like me have authority over people like you, but clearly not. Here we go. Up. Oh, no. I need my music back. After all that time, you'd thought I would have sorted the rooms, wouldn't you? I didn't. Hold on. Right, here we go. Right, no one in the campus rooms, so we're putting you in a room on your own. Right, I'm putting you in with the smart ones only you can hear. Oh, no one's smiling. Oh, you're so stressed. Okay, I'll get you in the rooms and just help each other out. If you want to talk about the assessments, you just talk about the assessments. I can tell that you're not at your best, are you, today? Here we go. Oh, we got one group of 3. We lost someone. There we go. Right. So I shall join you shortly. See you soon.
That was one of the things I said in the group was that to me, Jordan Peterson is to psychology what Donald Trump is to politics, and that prejudice and discrimination exists in all sorts of walks of life and amongst different kinds of people, and that just because he's a psychologist doesn't mean he's immune to being prejudiced or discriminatory. And I think that he uses his knowledge and position to promote his prejudices, and that has a lot of following because he very much supports the patriarchy model that has been in existence for so long, and the whole eugenics, I think it's called, argument that Charles Darwin and so on tried to bring in, whereby they tried to explain a lot of biological differences. He's still stuck in a lot of the old school thoughts of that, and is still peddling that wagon.
It's a really good point, isn't it? That psychology is not immune to those prejudices and discrimination and stereotypes. Yeah.
I just wanted to add to what Natalie said, because I was saying to my group mates that I watched the videos just once and I was like, I don't quite understand what he says. I can't understand what his point is. And I thought maybe it's just like language barrier, and maybe I need to watch it again and again to understand what he's saying. But I had the same reaction response from the rest of the group, that they had the same feeling, that he doesn't talk as clear, and it's very hard to navigate which ways he's going, what is he talking, and he was talking about something, and before finishing and wrapping that up was moving to another topic or another group or things like that. That was the same for me. And he was like I think he was really manipulating minds and taking advantage of all like what he had, like his position and where he is as a psychologist or his background and experience to kind of find followers. And as you mentioned, that he has got Jewish kind of followers as well, and all those political kind of view and everything is quite mixed together. So it was very hard for me to understand what he wants to say. As I said, he was not white, he wasn't black, he wasn't gray. So it was really hard for me to understand what he wants to say to people. He kind of wanted to keep everyone happy, but in the same time, he wasn't agree with anything, or he didn't have any positive mindset about like this gender or sexuality and like these groups as well. Kind of he was scared of criticism and people hating him, something like that.
Wanting to be loved by everyone.
Go on, Cheryl.
So this is
Yeah, just wanting to be loved by everyone. He was making a comment similar with religion. You know, he's saying that yes, he's a Christian. No, he doesn't necessarily believe in God, but that he's scared that he might exist. So yeah, he seemed to sit on the fence in a couple of areas. I think it was Jay that was in our group was talking about climate change. There he kind of just, to me, doesn't make a very strong argument, and possibly, confusing climate and weather instead of, he comes across strong with his argument, but it doesn't really make any sense. And it feeds into what Anusha, Anusha? Is that close?
Yeah, that's right, lovely. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so it feeds back into that the comments that you were making. He says a lot of words, but what's he actually saying?
Yeah, he's a really good speaker, and he's also not a good speaker at the same time. He goes on tangents and they sound wonderful and kind of like a little bit Russell Brandy. But then when you break it all down, the message isn't that good. So sometimes he's really captivating and sometimes he just completely loses it. Just sidetrack, like myself.
But we understood exactly what you said and what you meant. Yeah.
I found that he speaks in a way that is, like Anush, you were saying, it's unclear, and he speaks in such a way that you can infer whatever interpretation you like from what he's just said. And he mixes his psychology with his politics. And because he's mixing his psychology with his politics, it all sounds legitimate. It has that grain of truth in it, which makes it believable, but then the rest is just his opinion or lies or whatever else he wants you to think. And I found that he does appeal to males of certain age groups, and he appeals to those people partly because they feel threatened because there are more people competing for jobs, education, resources. And when you have to compete harder for the things that you want, then that doesn't feel good. What was I going to say next? He appeals to that very well because he's appealing to fear, and fear can be a powerful driver for some people, and not everyone, but you can do things that you don't want to do because you feel afraid and you're trying to protect yourself. And he does do that very well, but everything that I found that he said, it's all implied. Nothing is absolutely crystal clear as to what he's actually saying, but you can interpret it any way you like. So anyway.
I think one of the questions that I had when you get to the level that he has, if you look at his earlier works, all based in very much safe, mainstream type things, starts to say a few things that align with his religious faith and political views, and then we start to see the social media influence, and now we've built to a following of where you've got millions of followers. There's a point in there where it has to tip over into a profitable business. The more that I say things that reach out and really poke the bear, the more revenue streams, the more people are going to come on board, the more appeal that this will have with that displaced group of people who feel they're under attack. I'm now their chosen leader, and it grows. And this definitely has to be some sort of financial is really pushing the envelope in a certain direction because it's profitable.
And that, if I can add to that, Renee, is where I come from in part with my Donald Trump analogy. And it's that separate or divide, malign and rule policy. I think he's fully aware that by creating controversy, especially in today's social media world, that is such a powerful thing to attract attention, because all of a sudden everyone's all over it like a rat up a drain pipe. So by creating that binary separation and division and controversy, and then bringing the other things in, it creates a position of power and money. And so I fully support what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, it'd just be so interesting to see these things untainted by the almighty dollar. If there was no profit in it attached to any of it, would it still be the way that it is? And that taints everything.
Yeah.
I've just got a couple, because I'm aware of the time, and I'd love this to go on a little bit longer, but I just want to kind of do a little bit of summing up just in case some people need to leave. It's really important stuff that people are picking up on here. I think there's stuff to take into next week, because next week we're looking at systems of authority, and what people are describing here is kind of he's using some techniques of authority, or authority in a particular way and not other ways, which, there are different forms of authority. Basically, when you look at the videos for next week, have a think about this conversation when you look at those videos in terms of the different type of authority that he might be using. Like, you'd expect an academic to use the authority of knowledge, that we have knowledge and expertise, and that's what should be driving things. But the way you're describing it, it's a different type of authority, which is charisma, personal sort of authority about trying to get people to like you and all the rest of it. So there's really interesting stuff going on there. I think the stuff about social media is such an important comment about how, he is a product of social media, because he is what social media creates, people who are provocative, because that's how you get engagement on those platforms. And so, he's rose to prominence because he's getting rewarded for behaving that particular way. The other reflection is that he's actually nothing more than he's a perfect mirror back to psychology, what psychology is. He seems to be an extreme version, and psychology is constantly pushing him away. But he's doing what psychology does, which is to find an audience that has power and an influence that you can gain power and influence from through speaking to them and saying the things that they want to hear. So that's partly why we've aligned to medicine, because medicine has all of the resources, all of the money, and all of the authority. And we've been desperate, the profession's been desperate to gain their attention. And before it was medicine, it was, we had behaviorism, and it was the business world that we were seeking to work with and gain influence over. So we've been speaking to psychology speaks to particular audience for particular purposes, and no different to what Jordan Peterson does. But the other thing is interesting to reflect on, I think, maybe for the diary or for anything, is how, thinking back to Milgram, when Milgram said no one would have batted an eyelid about my study if no one had shocked the participants, if everyone disobeyed, no one would have had a problem with this experiment. Maybe it's the same thing with Jordan. If Jordan was saying, look, we need to feed the world and be nice to each other and all the rest of it, and he was going, look, think about it for a second, won't you? We should be nice to each other, and we should have social equality, and gay people have rights. Think about it for a second. He did that sort of thing. We'd probably all go, yeah, go on, Jordan. Go on, Jordan. Love the aggression, love the passion, love all of this about you. It's the fact that we disagree with what he says that then we kind of engage in a kind of assessment of his character flaws. It's nothing more, psychology does this all the time. We're very ready to criticize the person rather than the platform in this instance. But you've been good in terms, you've been doing both. I can see you kind of doing both. But it is that old thing, isn't it? Thinking that, the problem with the Nazi, note to self, edit this bit out. The problem with the Nazis were cruel. The problem with Jordan is that Jordan's cruel. Like, idiots like him say these idiotic things. But it's not the person, is it? It's the social conditions that creates the room and the space and the audience for these views to gain currency.
And the unknown powers that are driving.
The unknown powers that drive it, yeah. There are reasons why some people gain prominence. And, yeah. Is that what you meant? Was that you, Cheryl, who said that?
Yeah, because his views are political, religious. He's addressing climate change, all the popular cultural topics, I guess. Someone would have contacted him somewhere for sure, just how the world is. Make sure he's in the right party to put out the right message.
It's interesting, isn't it, that when Jordan puts a video up, it gets 2 million views after a day or so. And they're not people ganging up on him. They're people who love him. He speaks to a truth to people. People need to hear what he says. And even it's interesting. We think
if they're accurate figures, they may not be accurate figures. They could, it could be, click farms. It could have inflated the numbers. We don't have that data to know that that's accurate. It appears as though he's reaching a broad audience, but they're sort of self-propelling, motivating, you know, it might not be accurate. It might just be show.
Yeah. It may well be. It may well be.
There's a few comments from the fan club on your channel, Paul. So
Yeah.
you've attracted a few.
Yeah. It's the most engagement I've had. You know, I was thinking, I've got to do more of these. It's the same thing he does. I think I've got to do more of this. You know, I've never had so many people watching my videos. Even when I force my students to, they still don't. And now I'm suddenly getting, so, I mean, I was thinking maybe I should do a bit more of this, piss them off
What's
a
your
bit
view
more.
on climate change?
I'd probably get a lot of views if I denied climate change. And it's worth it just to put, you know, make the calculation. Maybe if I do that stuff, then it'll promote the other stuff I do, which I think is worthwhile. So maybe Jordan's doing this stuff to promote the other stuff he does, which is all the self-help thing, because he's got this, he's a counselor, he's a clinical psychologist, practice. He's got things that he thinks helps people. So,
Bit of moral licensing.
well, it is a bit of moral licensing, isn't it? But it's also, it's smart.
Marketing.
Yeah.
He was doing some sort of marketing for himself to say that I know all these things. So you can come to me if you're interested in this or in this and this. So yeah, and I go for whatever you want.
But again,
I can like kind of.
it's interesting that, I mean, we're doing the Nazi thing again, isn't it? Like he's this kind of self-interested guy who just wants to make himself a fortune, makes himself rich. He's just doing it for himself. But we forget he might actually really believe that what he's doing is right. You know, that thing about, you know, we're all the heroes of our own stories, and he'll be the hero of his. You know, that is, he might just be a terrible person and he's just wanting to make money. But he also might be just like us in terms of he thinks what he's doing is good, and maybe he's doing a few things just to promote other things. In the same way, you know, I'm going to go topless in my next video, see if that will get me a bigger audience. You know, and if that gets me a bigger audience, maybe people will see the stuff about the drug industry, and that'll be worth it. But anyway, I'll keep you updated on that. Don't worry, I won't do it on our teaching videos. You don't have to panic. They're safe to watch for the next 4 weeks. After that, I can't promise anything. But maybe he's making that sort of calculation because he thinks this is for the good. We tend to forget that capitalists actually do what they do because they think it's for the good. They think things will trickle down, you know, trickle down their leg, but, you know, trickle down nonetheless. But it's that same sort of thing. And the other thing, it's interesting in what Anush was saying, and it was getting picked up, was the, you know, you're listening to him and you just think, what's he actually saying? What's he actually saying? And they've done these studies where people who have intellectual impairment watch, you know, politicians, and they're just laughing their heads off because they actually hear the words that are, it's not intellectual impairment. It's some disability groups where they watch a politician talk and they can actually, they hear the words and they don't get confused by the other stuff that goes with it, you know, the hand gesturing and all the stuff, you know, that adds to the message, and they just hear the message and they go, it's absolutely hilarious how there's a disconnect between what they're saying and the other stuff that's going on. But the thing about what people like Jordan do, it's maybe no different to what psychology does. Psychology doesn't have to be true. It just has to have a sufficient grain of truth for people to believe it. And maybe that's what is wrong with what we do, that we just have a little bit of truth in what psychology does, and it's enough to for people to buy into it. And what we do on this unit is to maybe show that little grain of truth wasn't enough. It's not enough. And we need to focus on the stuff that it does wrong. And so maybe we should kind of think of psychology as a Jordan Peterson in terms of that. It's gone 5:15. I did miss Jerry Springer. That's going to be lost on people. You're all so young. Where I do that summing up thing. Not very well. How are people feeling about Murray's doing the old, we used to have this thing in, I'm not drawing attention to you unnecessarily there, Murray. We had this thing, are you at work? So I'm thinking you're at work, or you work, well, anyway, you're studying and what, well, anyway. I am too, apparently. When you used to be in lectures, when it came to 5 to the hour, students would do the shuffling, getting the paper, getting the bag out, and just the noise would, no student could walk out the room because they felt they couldn't, but they had their way of pushing back against the authority of the lecturer, which was they'd just get their notes and start shuffling it and get in the bag and go around and just hoping to God that the lecturer takes notice that, yes, time's up. It's really hard to do that on Zoom, but somehow, Murray, you managed it. Well done. You had to exaggerate that. So we should finish there. So next week we'll talk about. Pick it on you. I'm sorry. I'll give you an HD. I'll give you an HD for assessment 2, so you don't complain. He's gone. He's off to the complaints commission like the others. There'll be a queue. I'm warning you. So next week, social power. Keep these conversations going, because there's really good conversations if you can. And yeah, we'll focus on assessment 2 for our next tutorial. And I know things are getting stressful for you, so I'll bear that in mind. But you've been fabulous. Oh, you've been fabulous. Any final words?
And Cheryl, any final words from you?
Maybe just one.
I'm with you. Okay. We shall end. Oh, hold on. Oh, no! It's got to fade. So, that's the end of Jordan Peterson. No, that came out wrong. They're going to edit that. That's the only bit that's going to be good. So that's our week on... Oh, it's our Monday, isn't it? This week is all about Jordan Peterson. So, Jordan Peterson's the rest of the week. So, Q&A... Post all your questions up there and carry this conversation forward into next week's topic, because I think that's interesting. Anyway, I've been amazing. You've been wonderful. See you next time. Oh, chat. I missed the stuff in chat. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Rach. You're just going to let me sit here, aren't you? I know. You're going to do it. Just me and you. So it's got a stare off, innit? Stare off. I do this for a living. Thanks, Natalie.
Thanks, Paul. See ya.
Good to see you.